Great senator from Ohio, I wish to be recognized now.
Chair recognizes Senator from New Jersey.
Mr. President, there's something extraordinary happens when we are here on the Senate, and every cycle we see numerous young people who come here into what might be called indentured servitude. They are the pages. And I've come to have a lot of respect for Katie Britt, but my work with her every year in getting to know the pages, we have a little lunch, is something I really treasure. Senator Britt could not be here now. The schedule, we were supposed to do this earlier in the afternoon, but I want the pages to know that I think she's pretty brokenhearted that she can't be on the floor right now. She and I together worked to judge the poetry competition. And she was very disappointed that she could not be here to read the successful poems. But even more so, I think what she really wanted to do was to express her gratitude to this extraordinary group of young people who are assembled on the Senate floor before us. So what I want to do is in two parts to with the latitude of the president. I want to talk about the poetry competition and then share some parting words with the pages. But first, they're already annoying me, as they often do, because I cannot see you guys all. So with the pages who are sitting down, who can't eyeball me, please join the other pages that are standing so we can have a better look. I want to look into your eyes just in case my harsh words make any of you cry. That is much better. That is much better. So, Mr. President, we had a poetry competition, and I want you to know this poetry competition was different than all the other poetry competitions we had with pages. First of all, that they were recalcitrant. Very few of them even participated to begin. So we did something we've never had to do before. We extended the deadline, and then I bullied and badgered these. I admit this on the Senate floor. I bullied and badgered some high school students into complying with the poetry competition, and we got a large number of poems, a large number of participation from the pages, and I'm proud of your page participation. That's the last alliteration I'll do today. Now, what I did not expect, Mr. President, is for their poems to be so good. I was actually literally shocked. I look at you all and I just don't expect greatness. But your poems were exceptional. I literally texted Senator Britt in agony. I was like, how do we decide on which poems to choose? Because in past page classes, I hope they're listening out there in the world, they were just so top class. And so it was very difficult. Katie and I went back and forth. We did a lot of consternation, and we came up with the winners. But I'm going to ask right now that all the page poems and I've never done this before, but all the page poems that were written this time, all of you that wrote poems should be entered into the congressional record with their names, because I did not see names. They were all anonymous to me. I don't know which pages they were. I don't know if they were Republican or Democrat. I don't know if they were the pages that told me bad jokes or the pages that told me really bad jokes, because there was really just two categories this class. So could you, without objection, you will enter all the page poems because they're so good. So for the rest of time, it will be noted in the congressional record, in the record of this august body, these poems will be in the record with my comments that they're great poetry, even though you tell very bad jokes. That is now in the record forever. But we had to choose. There must be winners. And I'm very happy that Katie and I, through much grueling work, chose some winners. So there are three categories I'm going to give here. There's one honorable mention. There's another one that I chose myself, taking the privilege of being here and present on the floor. Please don't tell Senator Britt. And then the two that garnered in this body the bipartisan support. These are the two ultimate winners that got both Katie and I through. So here's the first honorable mention, then the one that really truly moved me, and then the one that the two of us agreed on. So first, the honorable mention. Where is Liliana Grinberg? Liliana, you've been yet as in so many ways so kind. I did not know this was your poem until moments ago. Now that I know it's yours, I'm not going to read it. No, I'm joking. Here we go. Let's see if you impress the good senator from Ohio. It's a new day here in the Capitol. Prayer and pledge. And now hear the gavel. Under these gilded ceilings, then and now interweave. It's where we see what is and what ought to be. Joking through the tired and laughing through the stress, praying that each scramble will turn into success. Voting and speeches and printing amendments, debates and objections and unanimous consensus. We leave this world made of marble, and to Webster Hall we return, where our bodies may rest, but our minds will still churn. We will have no clue what tomorrow will bring. Best and brightest, to this place we will cling. We will cling to the chamber and the flag and its staff. We will cling to this group, every lesson, and laugh. Thank you very much. Snapping in the chamber is against the rules, but you guys are leaving tomorrow anyway, so break some rules. All right. This next poem I read, and more than one person who read this poem agreed with me. We got very emotional. It was brave and courageous, like some of the other poems I've read. And so this is a poem unlike any I've ever read from the pages, and I'm going to read it now, and then I'll get to the two Britt Booker wins. But this poem is by Lucas Hogan. Where is Lucas? Lucas! Lucas, all I have to say is wow, but I'm going to read it. The poem is entitled Moments of Silence. A gunman enters the school planning to cause violence. Students try to pretend they aren't there. They pack up their things. They hold their breath. The school is in a moment of silence. As hard as they tried, new angels still gained untimely wings. At the funerals, they send thoughts and prayers to the victims of the violence. Shell-shocked survivors embrace one another and try to move on. The next day at school, the victims are honored with a moment of silence. It's impossible for anyone to keep going. Their friends are gone. Politicians give stentorian remarks on stage denouncing the violence. Afterwards, they hand off the microphone and scurry off to the next speech. There are no votes on any policies, nothing but moments of silence. Children still march into the place where survival is a reach. There's been enough inaction. There's been enough waiting. There's been enough sorrow. Only moments of silence leave more children who yearn for tomorrow. Very, very powerful. Now, the Britt Booker choices for the highest senatorial honor given to a teenager anywhere ever. I guess I'm exaggerating, but what the heck? Who knows? Two that I shall read. First is by Addison Norris. Oh my gosh. Addison, you are like a senator. You're very long-winded in your poetry writing. But it's beautiful nonetheless. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He looked upon his work and he said, "It is good." But is it really good? When we're facing wars, when families are waiting for unopened doors, is it really good when it doesn't go my way? When I've lost my job, had a horrible day, is it good when I can't see the light? When there's no clear way out, is it good? Is it right? Is he good? Is God really there when there's no food on the table? Does God truly care? Yes, he is good. Though the night feels long, though prayers fall heavy and the silence feels strong, because goodness was never the absence of pain. It was God stepping into it, bearing the weight, wearing the stain. Good looks like a manger, not a throne dressed in gold. Good looked like mercy when the world had grown cold. Good had dirt on his hands, tears in his eyes, cross on his shoulder, love choosing sacrifice. He is good, not because life bends to our will, but because he stays close when everything is still. When the job is gone, when the cupboard is bare, when all we have left is a whispered prayer, he is there. Good is the shepherd who walks through the valley, not shouting directions, but walking it with me. Good is the promise that night doesn't win, that Sunday still comes after Friday's grim. So yes, he is good, not loud, not rushed, not proved in a day, but faithful and near and already making a way. Fantastic. The last page poem, prodigiously, purposefully, powerfully plain. I said last alliteration. I lied. Here's the last page poem. I do want to say there was another poem, I didn't even ask you whose name it was, that heralded Katie Britt and me. I admired the obsequious nature of that poem. I mean, the sycophantish excellence was powerful. I mean, to drop my name into the poem, I'm weak. You didn't write it. I was weak. I wanted to choose the person who praised me, but I felt like I wouldn't get away with it before the presiding officer. He'd call me, he'd rule 19 me or something like that. So here is the final bipartisan poem that gets our most highest honor here in the Senate. And it comes from Emma Ross. Emma! For crying, you could snap for Emma before the poem, but shouldn't you wait and hear what she wrote first? Gosh, premature snapation. It's a bad thing. Here we go. From Emma Ross. I came from quiet roads and open air, where every sunset felt like it knew me. But here the marble glitters cold and bare. I feel lost in all this history. These crowded halls move faster than my breath, each rushing step reminding me I'm new. Some days my confidence feels close to death, and I miss skies my hometown once let through. I smile, I learn, I try to stand up tall, but still my heart aches for familiar ground. A porch light glow, a voice I knew to call, a place where I was seen, not just around. Yet though I ache, I stay because I know great dreams are born from seeds we bravely sow. I am impressed with this class. I have to say, as much as I tried to diss you and disrespect you, You guys showed such specialness. I'll never forget this page class. And so I'm going to do two things. One, as the presiding officer knows that you lead by example. So, of course, I wrote you a poem, and I'm going to share it, and then I'll say some final words, and I'll let the presiding officer close the Senate for the recess. So first, the poem before my final words. This is a Booker original, written hastily over the last 24 hours. You can leave things to the last minute and still make it in life. I think I'm a testimony to that. You can procrastinate. But I actually wrote this after reading through your poems a second time. You inspired me, so here is the page poem dedicated to you all. 100 senators, confident, accomplished, successful. Elected leaders projecting excellence in times so stressful. They may seem like giants, and you may feel a bit small. But dear God, don't buy it. Don't believe it at all. For every senator you hear roar on this hallowed floor, there are shadows, stumbles, wounds, times they collapsed and wept before. You witness speeches, polished, practiced, refined. What you don't see are the staffs who write drafts, fix flaws, and make sure we arrive on time. And if we sound wise, sagacious on camera or TV shows, the true heft we carry wasn't born from our highs, but it was forged through our lows. So, dear pages, a truth not often shared in this place. To the young people who carried our water and opened our doors with such grace, greatness isn't achieved when you reach the highest ground. Greatness is forged when you get knocked down and, despite it all, rise and rebound. You may have become curious how someone climbed so far. They must be better than we are. But if you want to know the real story, perhaps the best question to ask us is, tell me about your scars. But maybe this is a story you all already know so well, because these last months of your life here in the Senate, y'all went through hell. You worked humbling, demanding jobs full-timed, then carried a full course load, every class so much work assigned. And what moved me most, what I admire in you, is that somehow still you became one of the kindest page classes I've ever known or knew. Maybe that's the lesson you offer us today. That despite the world's pressure, its chaos and fray, you met stress, struggle, exhaustion, and so much, too much labor. Yet you still lived the most sacred refrain of all, to love your neighbor. I say this because you've impressed me. You really have, every single day. Look, your jokes really sucked, but your kindness was your way. So I leave you now with this final reminder. God, this world needs to become a lot kinder. So, when angry, when joyful, when weary or mad, when soaring with hope or aching and sad, when lost, when certain, or when unsure of your way, when life makes no sense at the end of the day, choose again, decide again, make it your very spine, resolve in all moments to always be more kind. Because in my life, the best people I've ever met, without question, what has been and is their principle is that they center their lives on cultivating a kindness that's invincible. I'm very, very true. You guys disappointed me time and time again. From the day you arrived, I asked for jokes. I haven't asked much. I asked you guys just to be funny. And you're not. You're really going to have to work on that in life. I mean, you got to have a sense of humor. But what you lacked in humor, I was blown away by how just good people you are. And this world is yearning for more good people. You've seen this place split along the aisle. You've seen the tribalism grow in our country. You're going to return to your phones very soon, which I think this is going to probably be looked back upon as one of your better periods when you weren't scrolling and you weren't doing social media. In many ways, you were liberated from that toxin which feeds in our society so much hate and so much disagreement. These are corporations, actually, that feed us through their algorithms, things that make us more enraged on each other. If there's any great threat to America, it's no other country. They can't beat us tank for tank or warship for warship. The greatest threat to our country isn't from without, it's from within. And in fact, you will study history. And if you look at the decline of nations, it has not necessarily been from external threats. From the Roman Empire to the Soviet Union, they fall because of internal corruption and failings to live up to their virtues. And if there's any virtue that you all have been amidst every single day for America to make us successful, it's the one over the presiding officer's head. It's e pluribus unum. But I was blown away in this session. You heard the speech. One of my colleagues researched where that speech came. I never thought of what the origins of e pluribus unum. I've been saying that phrase from a dead language, and he found the origins of it from a great philosopher, that it's actually the end of a sentence. And the sentence talks about that value that you all showed me through your kindnesses, whether it was in the train or passing me in the hallway. You all seemed to always have a smile, a generous word. Even on the days you were haggard and weary, e pluribus unum, the beginning of that sentence is, if we are to be a great people, we must love one another. We must love our neighbors. To become many, one out of many, that is the secret. And so if there's any parting word I could give you on behalf of Katie and myself, who have forged a friendship in this place, I've come to love and respect her deeper because I see her struggle in the most important way. The greatest struggles in our life are not necessarily the next career ladder we're going to grab. The greatest struggle in our life is often just to manifest every day, to show up every day and evidence the most important virtues in our lives. And I think of no other greater virtue than to love one another. And so I'll end by telling you a short story about my scars, about times I've failed, because the truth of the matter is the best lessons I've been gifted have been through the most difficult times. You guys just went through difficult times, and I hope that you look back and said there was something about the hardship and the challenge that forged something with you that you will take with you for the rest of your life. That you look back at this Page experience and value and remember two things. One's the friends you made, and the other is the grit that you gain to be the best version of yourself to show up. And whatever you do, I hope you do like I've seen you do in this place, is just litter this world with small acts of kindness, decency, and love. And so the embarrassing story, which I hesitate to tell before the presiding officer, it might show up in my campaign this year in ads and used against me, so I hope I can have a public promise that you won't use this story against me, sir. Is that without objection? Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so 3 blocks from my home in Newark, New Jersey, is this place. Now, you guys are from all over the country. I don't know if you have this place, but 3 blocks from my home is this place called McDonald's. Now, I have a guy who drives me since I was a mayor. He was on my protective detail. He was a detective in the Newark Police Department. His name is Kevin Batts. From 2006 till now, He's been driving me around. And we have such a great friendship. We know each other so well that when I jump in the back of the car, I'm often doing work, pounding away texts, on the phone. So we don't have to even talk. He's learned to read my mind. Telepathic powers have emerged between us. And so as we're driving past that McDonald's, he looks in the rearview mirror and immediately turns into the drive-thru because he looked at me and read my mind. Maybe he didn't read my mind. He just saw weakness in my soul. I needed to have some McDonald's French fries. Now, at this point in my life, when the story takes place, I was not a plant-based man. I did not know that McDonald's, to this day, this is not libeling, they soak their French fries in some kind of beef product. I don't know what it is, but still, I love McDonald's French fries. I get 2 large French fries, and now we're driving out of the drive-thru. And I see a guy in a trash can rooting around, and I don't have to say a word. Kevin knows me. I look in the rearview mirror, our eyes meet, and he immediately stops the car. I roll down the window. He knows that I'm going to want to try to see what's going on here. We're 3 blocks from my home. I'm trying to live my values. And I say, hey, man, you all right? And he sort of waves me off. But immediately I realize my tone wasn't right. This is a man with equal dignity, God's creation, made in God's image. And I said, my words weren't respectful enough, so I lowered my tone and I said, excuse me, sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but do you need anything? And he turns around and looks at me and he goes, I'm hungry. Now, I've talked to a lot of you, a lot of different faiths. We have a lot of different faiths of senators here. It's more diverse than it's ever been. But in my faith, I think Jesus said something like if you have 2 McDonald's French fries and your neighbor has no McDonald's French fries, I think it was a sermon on the McMount. Maybe we could get the McMount, yes. We can get a parliamentary inquiry to fact check that. I think that's what the Bible said. But if I have 2 McDonald's French fries, my neighbor has none, I think Jesus said, give one of your McDonald's French fries. I think he did say that. And so I reach in my bag and I hand the man one of my treasures. I mean, before I was holding them like that movie, that Lord of the Rings, my precious, my precious. But now I go into my bag and I hand him one of my fries. He takes the fries. He seems happy. I feel satisfied that I showed up in that moment. And he looks at me, grateful, steps away from the car, then steps back to the car and he goes, excuse me, one more thing. Do you have any socks? Now, for all of us who've done any work in volunteering homeless shelters or working with folks who are experiencing homelessness, you know socks, if he's asking, it must be an urgent need for him. So I felt bad. I sort of vainly looked in my car left and right, and I don't carry extra socks in my car. So I said to him, sir, I'm sorry, I don't have socks. And he shook his head, and he stepped back, and he raised the fries to me like saying, cheers, thanks for the fries. I whipped my head around, looked in the rearview mirror, giving him all the telepathy I could. I need to get home. I need to turn on the British baking show. I should say the American baking show, American baking shows. And there's nothing worse than cold McDonald's French fries. But Kevin doesn't move the car. I stare harder with more telepathy. Move the car. He doesn't move the car. Suddenly, what he does is he puts the car in park. And he reaches between the steering wheel and his legs, kicks off his shoes, and takes off the socks he's wearing, folds them as neat as he can, and offers them up to the man, who then takes the socks like he just received a bar of gold and steps away from the car and says, thank you. I'm a United States Senator. And I talk about kindness all the time. But in that moment, I failed to use my moral imagination to see how I could show up. I'm 3 blocks from my house. I have socks in my drawer that some of them I don't even wear anymore. But I didn't think about taking off my socks. Pages, you all are special. I tell you, I've really come to have a lot of affection for you. I'm going to miss you. This place is going to miss you. I hope I see you out and about and you don't pretend like you don't know me. And I can tell you what an honor it was that we served together in the United States Senate. I speak for 99 other people in telling you how grateful we are. And if there's one request I have is to just remind you that our founders knew about this country that we needed improvement. They wanted this in every generation, us to make this a more perfect union. And if I could prescribe one great need our country has, it's you. This country needs your heart and your spirit. It needs your brilliance and ideas. It needs your grit and hard work. But most of all, it needs you to be kind. Those seeds are in you. I see it. And I hope that as you go out into the world and encounter challenges and stresses, that you can always show up with your heart and your kindness and your love. And that perhaps you remember better than I do that sometimes in life, you got to take off your socks. Thank you, everybody.